To the West in Zapata is the film that got the Best Feature Film Award in Kolkata International Film Festival in 2025. Our guest today, David Bim. This film is actually about love.
People say, okay, that is reality. No, that is a point of view of reality.
Actually, what I found, your film has a soothing sound design, which, directly puts us in a meditative state.
When you met Landi, so he was supposed to return before and he was late.
For also my hope as human being to find these two people forgotten of society, trying to fight every single day of their life just by the love of each other as a family.
In your profession, you are a film teacher, right?
Yeah.
And you wanted to say that, how can I express this? What is the best way I can express this to the world, right? In that sense, you said that, I must basically make a film. So it kind of came out of you, right? In some sort of a deliberation.
What was the most powerful thing about cinema is sharing time. That is because we get some empathic. If you put a camera to other and ask the other to be themselves, it's a fucking revolution, man. It's something very special. We are following Landi, and he is going without any doubt through this camp with that crocodile, finding his camp, and he never fails in that task. Landi is not an actor. Landi belongs to that land.
Why did you decide to make the film black and white, and what point of time you have taken that decision?
Image will be always taking care about movement, no, and the forms, so that I could do it with black and white, so I can do the color by my sound. For me, the music is the tempo of their life. I could be in Satyajit Ray home, with his son. Satyajit Ray, for me, is something that I don't know. I didn't know anything about India, but when I say Pather Panchali, I said, I came from there. I'm from the countryside. And I want to be Apu,
It's a great answer, I think. To the West in Zapata is the film that got the Best Feature Film Award in Kolkata International Film Festival in 2025. And this film is made by our guest today, David Bim, who is from Cuba. Right now, he is in Spain and touring over Europe. And importantly, we have our co-host Anindo here. So me and Anindo actually we went to this film together, as a screening, and sort of it blew up our minds, and we started thinking that we should probably talk to this guy, how to connect this guy somehow. And we just read an article in some newspaper that David could not come to the festival to get the award because of some visa issue, unfortunately. In this time, I mean, it's probably the most common issue everyone is having in this international travel. Finally, I got to meet David when he was visiting afterwards for a couple of months after in SRFTI, and was there was a screening of his film, and afterwards there were conversations, and there actually I had spoken to him, and we thought that we should invite David to our podcast. So welcome, David. Welcome to our show.
Pleasure, man. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Great, great, great. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I think we have a lot to talk about, and I mean, the most striking point that I had, I mean, I am like the sole fortunate because Onindo is in France right now. He was France at that time, so he could not attend that session. But in that particular Q&A session, I mean, the most striking thing that I sort of found that your stress on love, right? So you said that this film is actually about love. So maybe we can like start from that. So I mean, just for our viewers, that there will be some spoilers, of course, of the film. So I would suggest that first you watch this film and then you watch the podcast, or maybe you can watch the podcast and get the spoilers and go back and just watch this film. But overall, the film talks about a family. It's kind of a partly estranged and partly together, and there is some sort of expressions of love during the absence of other characters, right? That's, I think, the one of the most striking uh, quality of this film that sort of we felt, right? So David, maybe you can talk more about this background and how this bonding and human connection was had impacted you enough so that you wanted to make this film.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. It's like a process, I'm trying also to understand not only how I must film, just also how I must live to film. For me, are two things that are united, and you can have one without the other. For me, it's very important to keep that coherence about living and filming. So uh, it's like the process of finding that love you refer in the question. It's just something about my life living in Cuba. I travel alone um, above all the countries. I'm not usually planning where I rest or where I feed myself or something like that. So at some point in my journeys, I meet people, because so. Sometimes you ask for a glass of water, you make some chat, some people, and that's it. But in case of my character, Mercedes was the first person of the film I knew. Well, the film is just three people, no? Mercedes, Landi, and their son, Denis. So she invited me for a cup of coffee, and that is very like a privilege in Cuba nowadays. So we start to chat each other, and what I find in that chat is that more important about what we were talking about is what the thing that we were sharing sometimes together. I think I could feel like also Mercedes and me were feeling a little bit like alone. Mercedes lives very alone because his husband, and that is her husband, sorry, and that is part of the film. Um, has to be in the jungle, no, for feed the family. So I don't know. Danish, the song comes to me. He was very little at that time, He was autistic, so he's very territorial. If he feels that you are bothering him, you can rest there in that place. So, but he comes to me and he hugged me. That is
Mm-hmm.
the first sign of love. I got it because, and also it was like a door to a process that starts because the mothers say that is not frequent. They need don't do that very much. So and actually automatically she asked me very humble to stay with the son so she could do all these things that she has to wait for the son resting to do it at night, like recall all this coal and all this stuff she has to do because she has a very tough life. So I start to spend time with her and with the son, taking care of Danish, helping Mercedes. And I always saw a woman that was very vital, was very laughing for the son, was very singing for the son, was very sensitive for the son, was living for the son actually.
Mm-hmm.
So and also very kind with me. But at some point, when you spend time with people, the relationships starts to come deeper and deeper because also you show yourself, your real self, and also the other people allows themselves to show to you. So I start to see a woman that instead of all this kind was suffering a lot and in silence, sometimes I was seeing her waiting in the front door of the house, uh, very stoical, but it was always like inside her, but I could feel really pain, and that it's something that I couldn't understand by that time, but I also could feel, So when Landis come one time, I talked to him. I think I was very ingenuous, very naive because I didn't know anything about Landis' life. So for me, it was like, okay, so if Mercedes is suffering because Landis thought that he's coming at that day and he's not coming at that day, so maybe he's an irresponsible, he is
Yeah.
not doing things well and he's making suffering his family actually. So my talk with Landis was in terms that for me was very interested in he understand the pain of the wife, but actually was very unfair, So because when you are ignorant, you don't know, and I talk to him and I say, bro, I don't know if you realize, but your wife suffers a lot when you are not coming on time because it's very tough. Being here with the kid and with all this pain, and he tells me very kind, very humble. He tells me, "Okay, man, I'm trying my best. I swear, I trying my best. I'm already an old man. This stuff there in the backwards in the jungle is not easy, man. So if at some point you want to accompany me."
When you met Landi, right? So he was supposed to return before and he was late, or he's
Yes, exactly.
yeah,
He actually is always coming like late because
late.
he don't depends on him.
Hmm.
And also the woman also asked him to be take care, don't spend a lot of time, don't
Uh-huh.
we will make it possible even if you are not doing the best because he's in a very inhospitable land. It's not only about crocodiles, it's another things, plagues, parasites.
Hmm.
It's very tough to stand there,
Hmm.
and also you have these storms, rains, this
Yeah.
thunder, this. So and also all of this is forbidden because in Cuba everything is forbidden, and
Hmm.
especially if you are in a vulnerable class.
Oh yeah.
So that was like the feeling of Mercedes that she couldn't ask for help because if she is asking for help, maybe she saves his life in case of Landi needed, but also will be in troubles. Also, maybe will be in jail. And also, is not his husband. Is also the person who is feeding the son. Is the father of the son. So if you don't do nothing, it's
Mhm.
also very perverse because maybe you are avoiding to help your husband, and maybe your husband is somewhere inside the jungle needing for your help. So the only person who knows about land is Mercedes, and Mercedes has to be in silence. And that for me it's like very very purpose because you have to suffer in silence. Some
Mm.
people ask me like, I don't know, the first part of the movie
Completely
with
silent.
Landi is very like cinematic, no, and also it's very exotic, and you are in the jungle and you are. But for me, the second part of the movie, Mercedes, is also much more human, I could say. It's much more, at least for me, for my experience, because for me, it's tougher even being Mercedes than being Landy. Because when you are in troubles, when you has this tough life, at least to move, to have some actions is like something that your body is asking for you, like Dostoevsky characters. I don't know, when your
Mhm.
mind is like with all this stuff, like smoking, you need to move, to do something. But when you have all this and you have to keep stand without moving, without talking, that is very perverse. And
Mhm.
I think she only can do that because, again, this love for his her family, but also this love for his son. No, so when I go with Landy to the other part and I see the other part of the jungle for the very first time in my life, I see that all, as Landy was doing, the motor of that, the main thing about that was not there. Was it the outscreen? All of Landy was doing was because of Mercedes and the son. As when I was with Mercedes, all of Mercedes were doing was also in the outscreen for the other part. So I say, I was also reading this Sisyphus myth about Albert Camus,
Mhm.
and it's like this myth that is condemned to have this big rock in the back and hold to the top of the hill and then falls the rock and then do it again and again for all the eternity. And I was trying to understand in their position how could they do it again and again, all this pain, all this tough life, without seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. You can say, okay, that is temporarily, but at some point things will be better. But that is not an issue for them. So how, for example, for them, resting at some point is not, um, an option. And I understand that maybe what you are not able to do for yourself because at some point you prefer to rest, you find the strength you are doing because someone that you love more than your life is even more vulnerable than you and depends totally 100% of your actions, and that is Danish, that is the son. So
Their
for me,
son. Yeah. Yeah.
the story, it's about a family that for stay together as a family, they have to live every single day of their life without the other,
Mhm.
but only are doing that because they love someone more than themselves, and they are like giving all their life to that beloved one. So for the very first time in my life, I was, I was very young. But also, I live in a country that we have a lot of words about propaganda, and you turn on the radio, the television, and are always like kind words about the reality. But you face the reality, and it's not that; it's a bullshit, you know. So I don't believe more in words. Words, you can defend an speech with words and the opposite speech with words, and also could feels like it's truth. So for me, uh, for also my hope as human being to find these two people forgotten of society, trying to fight every single day of their life just by the love of each other as a family, and also of the love of his son, of their son, for me was like hope, like faith. I need, I think, as human being, but also of course as a filmmaker, to have some faith in
Hmm.
you know
Humanity. Yeah.
humanity, because if not, why we are here, man? And when you see all these facts, not words, and all these facts are showing love, love not for ourselves, love of for someone that are not us. For me, was like, okay, I want to understand that. I want to go deeper in that movement, because that
Hmm.
movement. So I start to spend a lot of time also to belong myself in that land, in that family. So I spent 5 years before filming, just for let my my body, my existence also to belong them. I think, as a filmmaker, but especially as a documentarist, um, or body, or when we spend time, the way we think, the way we feel, the way we move is our main tool of work, is our point of view about that reality. Because when we say documentary, people say, okay, that is reality. No, that is a point of view of reality.
Hmm. Hmm.
For me, it's about, and that is also more special, because it's a human trying to view something that it's happening for real in front of him, and it's bigger from him, no. But also, you need to start to, for one existence that has a lot of grace, no, grace scales, you need to put an autonomous form that could length like 1 hour, 1 hour and a half. So you can't imitate, how I say, the life you are seeing. You have to express it, not copy, because it's impossible. You have to have an autonomous form that is much more smaller than the the experience you are feeling, you are living. For me, that it's only possible if you spend enough time
Hmm.
that you are the one who is changing in some point. You are starting to belong to that place, to that movement, to that, and in that tempo, when you get the tempo, when you understand that, you can start to just delete, remove what are excellent of this essential part you want to get. What for me was like the love, no, that magnetic field with these two parts, because this part is doing for this part and this part is doing for this part. So it's something magnetic, like it's trying to crash, but they are condemned not to be together, maybe one day, but that is like the privileged day. But then the cycle starts again and starts again and starts again, and you never know how that will becomes better or worse. So you have to live with that uncertain,
Hmm.
but you find your strength, because your love is much powerful than your pain or than your anxiety, or your
Suffering.
uncertainty, your suffering. That's it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It was a process, and for me, it was like, okay, that is bigger than myself. So
Yeah.
I can be loyal to that because it moves me, you know.
So it feels like this film has come out as some sort of a deliberation, more like at some point you feel like, you did not really plan for this film ahead of time, but at some point you thought that, I am observing this sort of very unique love and hope, like you explained, right? And
Hmm.
I must, I mean, because in your profession you are a film teacher, right?
Yeah.
And you wanted to say that, how can I express this? What is the best way I can express this to the world, right? In that sense, you said that, I must basically make a film. So it kind of came out of you, right? In some sort of a deliberation. You did not really plan for the film. Okay, I want to make a film, and then I found this people. Okay, let's make a film. But you said like you were spending time with them, and after many years, you have these reflections, and then you say, okay, how can I express this? So maybe I can make a film. So it's a kind of a
Yeah.
deliberate process, right? So rather
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
like no plan or something like
Yeah.
this, right?
Well, no plan. I wouldn't say no plan. I
Hmm.
would say you need faith. Faith is not a reality. Faith is an
Uh-huh.
impulse. Faith is a movement. You know, I was raised in the countryside. I'm like kind of a peasant. My family
I see.
worked the land. So my grandfather was, I don't know the name in English, agriculture is good.
Agriculture, yeah. Yeah.
Agriculture, yeah. So he has these orange trees and he has to work every single day of his life
Mhm.
having faith about this land will bore
Mhm.
that little trees and then the trees go there and then at some point you will have a fruit,
Yeah.
you know. I
Excellent.
think we
Yeah.
are not doing anything different from my childhood, watching my grandpa. You know,
Mhm.
you have an intuition. I think a filmmaker need a smell. You know, need something that it's in touch about what you are feeling, what you need to express, but also it's not only in you. You can find in the realities. You know, what was the most powerful thing about cinema is sharing time. That is because we get some empathic. The cinema is always move us from ourselves so to another stories. So when we come back to ourselves, we see our life with that little
Bit
perspective.
different. Mm.
So we understand more the world, but also we understand more ourselves by understanding the world. I don't know if understanding is the good word. I think it's more that feeling because it's
Mhm.
not only intellectually, it's emotional. You know, it's like
Right. Yeah.
so. Also, when you are trying to do something, it's like you are cooking a feeling inside yourself. You have to destiny your main tool of war, that is your time. When you spend your time, no, because if you spend your time, I don't know, with your friends taking beer in a bar, that is not bad, but you will find another stories, you know.
Yeah.
So if you start to travel, to need have need from other people, so be involved in other lives, no, uh, and then start to try to find something that it's there and it's communicating with you, but it's not only about you. It's also in the reality. That for me is the value of the thing. We have to knock the door of reality. You know, we need people. You know, I always remember as a professor that cinema story in the 19th century was like a after this second industrial revolution, what like a kind of machines like a technical how do you say
Process.
process exactly, but was very like, you know, like machines and all of that and technical revolution and all of that.
Mhm.
But at some point, Lumiere's, I don't know, by accident, I think by intuition, they feel the people. That was the main character, the first main character of history of cinema was the people coming out of the factory and then
Yeah. Yeah.
get that film and they put together. That is the big difference about the kinetoscopy of Edison, that was not successful because it was an individual experience. So they put together the people and they share with the people. And when you get the people and you share with the people, technical evolution stops and we becomes in an art. What's the so that language from Lumiere's to nowadays doesn't change that far. The essence is the same. So I think that is the soul of cinema. The soul of cinema is sharing time. So maybe as filmmakers nowadays, um, we don't if we have some faith in cinema, if we want to live because of cinema, that is another stuff. We need to belong to some industry and we will earn money about doing cinema. That is only another stuff. But if we want to study cinema as a some essence of being alive and sharing time, maybe we don't need to do that much films about by us. Maybe we can do longer process and let the time change us. And in the middle, we can find other jobs as me, as I am professor or something to feed ourselves, but don't pressure the natural timing of what these movies are needed. Because what are you finding for? What I'm finding a film, it's the truth. And for me, the truth, it's about the intimacy. How, when you put a camera, that it's something aggressive, even if you do with all your love, because we change our behavior when a camera is pointing at us because we want to feel like better than we are. And you can find that in Instagram, for example, or in social media. We always are smiling, and we know that it's like fake because in our life also we have tears, also we have sufferings, but you can see that in Facebook, you can see that in Instagram,
Yeah.
is happiness, Coca-Cola, all this stuff about marketing of ourselves, but if you put a camera to other and ask the other to be themselves, it's a fucking revolution, man. It's something very special. And you can do that. You can do that in 2 days. Because it's like you find a girl you like, but until that girl is your wife and a person that you will give your life for them, and just with a look with her and you are making something together, you can do that in 2 days. You need time to a lot of experience together to share
Absolutely.
to so that is also the good thing about cinema is that you have an objective. So if that energy is not there, the objective will not catch that. But if the energy is there, doesn't mind if it's a fucking iPhone or if the most refined camera will be there. So more important about just uh, having the most incredible budgets, having the more technician, is about how you belong to that you want to film. So you are allowed to catch that intimacy. And in that intimacy, in that quotidianity, has some truth. And even if you are showing a Cuban world to an Indian spectator that are very far in the world, there is something universal that we share because we are always, all of us are human beings trying to exist, that they will get it, you know? and will
Exactly.
and could move them. So I think that is my purpose, but I'm not bigger than anyone. I'm not more talented than anyone. So what I need is to be like loyal to that time process.
Yeah, I think Anindo should jump in actually. Like Anindo, you are a filmmaker
Yeah.
yourself. You have made 2 feature films, and probably you have lot to share in that respect and lot in commons. Please.
The love that actually drives you to make this film and the vulnerable plus that you have worked, and you were saying that the quotidia of the characters that you actually wanted to. So my question is little it can be technical, or as well it can be aesthetical. And also the character Mercedes, we saw her singing a particular song to her child, to her autistic child. So actually, what I found, your film has a soothing sound design, which directly puts us in a meditative state. Can you tell us the recording process and your thought? I mean, the aesthetical thought behind it and the technical process, because you have filmed it by your own, almost what we know. So, what is the technical process of filming it? Filming the sound, I mean, and the aesthetical process has edited the sound, and what was the main thought behind it?
Yeah. Well, for example, if you see the first scene of the film, they start with Landi. It has like an alive crocodile in his back, and he has this swampy land, and the jungle always is the same. Landi always told me, like, if you at some point that you get lost, don't try to escape from the jungle, don't try to come back, because the jungle is it's always the same. So maybe you trying to come back, you are getting more farther, and I will not able to rescue you. No. So I'm telling this because Landi in the first sequence is like a long tank, maybe 5 minutes. Uh, we are following Landi, and he is going without any doubt through this camp with that crocodile, finding his camp, and he never fails in that task. And I ask, how could be able to never fail if the jungle is always the same and he has not a signal or something? It's because he knows he to listen the jungle. He knows where he is, where we were, because he listened farther than me. He has more sensibility in listening. No, so for me, that sounds that communication about landscape, and also the breath, and also the foliage of this man are talking about identity. Landi is not an actor. Landi belongs to that land.
Hmm.
So technically, but
Right.
also metaphysically, if I want to talk about identity in that film, I need to have a sound approach, because always is talking. I think humans, we are very involved nowadays in cities, and we do a lot of we are trying always to optimize things in industries, and we are like very deep in what we make in our profession, but we are starting to be very ignorant about the world that involves us. We are losing a lot of signs that we could get, not only by seeing, also by listening. So when we are alone by yourself in some nature, that we belongs to nature, is that our world, not the city is like something we built but is fake. But when we are in nature, maybe we are not able to survive there, because we lost our essence, we lost of our ability to listen. So in the other part, I was just me doing a film with my characters. So that is a lot of limitations, physically limitation. I have to carry a tripod, a little gimbal, three lens. I don't know how to charge, because I'm in the jungle. So even if there are like a digital camera, a small camera, I have to film in an analogical way, because I can see the playbacks, because I can't consume battery. So I have to I have to also understand when to film, because when I'm filming, I'm deciding that my battery is going out, is going down. So when I'm filming, I'm deciding what I'm not filming, because I can't film everything. So
Yes,
I say,
definitely.
okay, so I have all these limitations. I don't pick to hide that limitation. I will put in the center, and that will be like the main tool of expression of that film. So, for example, about the image, for me, the movement of my characters is the life. As I was talking before, if i- you are in that purgatory suffering, but because of you are alive, you are moving yourself. So if you are moving, you don't know if at some point life will be better, but what you understand that is like now you are fighting, now in the present you are alive, you are not still dead, so you have some hope in the movement. So for me, the image was about the movement of my characters, following them, understanding that, also having faith in long takes, being available about if something happened, I discover that something also in present and be available to change a little bit my point of view, but also train myself to be enough smooth to react that in a form that camera is still kind of invisible, you know? And
Mm,
at the other part, I say, okay, and then sound will be about this perspective identity. So I understand that if you, for example, the image put it because the image is like putting in 2D in B dimension and three-dimensional experience that you are living, no? So you are getting
mm,
flat. Cinema is more flat than reality. But also if you are
mm,
putting black and white, you lose the color, gives you a lot of reference about perspective because you see
mhm,
something red at 3 meters and you say, okay, that is the perspective. So you understand very better where you are. No, if you lose that, you are more confused because of the black and white because it's flatter. But you are not only seeing a film, you are seeing a film and at the same time you are hearing the film. So if you make
yes.
your film weak in terms of image, you have the big opportunity to make it more expressful in terms of sound. And that is also your film because you are attending to something that is together. So I said, okay, that reality is like image will be always taking care about movement, no, and the forms, so that I could do it with black and white, so I can do the color by my sound. The color could be my sound. All this perspective about the close up of the breath of my is like the percussion of music, the breathing, because it's a man trying to exist, it's a woman trying to exist, but then it's a landscape that is always talking to him or to her and give signals because they are always looking out screen. So they are trying to be able to hear, no? To hear if the sun needs me, to hear if Landi is calm, to hear if the crocodile is there, It's always so I can take care of that perspective, of that identity about the song. So I decide, okay, the color of my film could be my sound. So I spent month and a half
Excellent.
to film something in terms of movement of image, and then when I get it, when I say, okay, I think I have something about a film, I spent a whole year just with my sound recording trying to get every single, foley, every single ambience, to understand also what we are like, what we are involved there, And when you see the film, it's not any single library sound. It's always about there because we are talking in terms of identity, of essence.
Mm. Of the particular place, of the identity of the particular place, right? So I have another, I want to know in that way that what makes you get away from the music in the total piece of 1 hour, 14 minutes film? You have decided not to use any music. So what was your point of view of not using music?
For me, the music is the tempo of their life. So for me, the music is also when you see the neighborhoods, when you see the all these things is like are united, are all together. That for me is also the meditation. When you are doing meditation, you need to relax your brain, so communicate with another parts that also are you, no, like your body, yeah, like your emotions, like your soul, your breath. If you are always thinking, because we have that hierarchy, we are not able to understand other parts that are also we. So if we use, I think in that movie, I don't know, in another movie, just music from outside there, I lose the opportunity to something that is maybe weak and need more vulnerability of me to understand that. For example,
Mm.
Mercedes is um, crying in the middle of the night in silence because she doesn't want to awake the son. I don't want to express Mercedes in words what she is feeling, because also that will be intellectual. I could put a music, no, but then I will lose the opportunity to also understand what is the music around her that maybe is talking about his inside feelings. For example, this dog in the neighborhood, that at night the owner of that dog, I don't know how to say in English, like lock him. So that dog is,
Okay.
is very sad because he want to move and she couldn't move in all night. So he start to, it's not barking, it's like it's like crying, it's like
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
and then
The howling, yeah.
he
Howling. Yeah.
stops, and then he stops. But and you see again that little frogs, that frogs also lives in the day, but you are not able because of these sounds around. But at night you
Yeah.
are able to see that,
Mm.
that percussion. Tuk, 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 tuk. And then another game like the wind instrument. Oh, so that is
Mm.
talking
Mm.
about what is happening inside Mercedes. If you feel, no, Mercedes always something here, these frogs inside her about what is happening with my husband are not letting her to be relaxed, to feel, to have so much sleep, no, are working inside her, no, the anxiety. And at some points that anxiety feels like some scream that needs to be outside, like oh, that oh is making that tear that it's. So music outside, it's talking about my inside character, but I need to compose like concrete music, like something about the essence of jazz, I don't know, to get the music from outside. So then I word that word as something that is united, as when you are in meditation, that your breath, your body, your brain, everything is going to some point. It's like that. If I take something from outside, I'm making like layers. So maybe I could be more fast to that specific emotion I want to get with that, I don't know, some music, but I lose the opportunity to get connected in the identity of also the atmosphere around my character, you know? So I wouldn't say I don't have music. I would say my soundtrack is kind of jazz and is about, the
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. I totally understand. And wonderful explanation, by the way. It's a nice thing to understand your feeling about the sound and the soundscape and the music as well. But followed by this question, I have another thing to know from you: is why did you decide to make the film black and white, and what point of time you have taken that decision in the production part or maybe in a pre-production part? When did you decide to make it that I want to make a black and white
yeah.
with this? I Because I can understand that seeing the location, it could be more wonderful visually looking. I mean, seeing the swamp in colors.
Yeah.
and seeing the crocodile hunting in color. But what makes you take the decision
Yeah.
that no, I want to make that in black and
Well, it was a decision from the very first, for the beginning, and once again, it's about I'm a man trying a film, but a very specific context. I'm only about myself with my characters. So for me, color and especially the light in Cuba is very powerful because it's in the tropic. The position of the sound is very expressful. So again, it's something about identity. So I didn't want just to, because the presence of my camera are able to get some color, because it's not even the reality of colors. I think color for me, it's something about emotion, it's something about feeling, so the color you pick in your film is, as a painter, you need to know how to express something with that colors in terms of identity, in terms of perspective. So if I'm not able, because I will need a team, just to someone do the focal, other one they have some special lens. Okay, I don't have that. I don't have the budget to that. I can take care in the terms I want to paint my film. So I could have in another elements in my cinema, in my language, to have that color experience about perspective. I said yes, I could have in sound. So maybe a boy to try to fight to something I don't have, that it's like this color circumstance for paint my films in terms I wanted. I say, okay, I will spend my time taking care about image in the movement, and then also I will have another process of my life taking care about the color of the film in sound. So I make that decision for the beginning. So being able to any single tool, any single tool I'm using in that film has a purpose. Not it's there just in an arbitrary way, you know. Only also for me was very important to film another perspective of reality that give me black and white, because imagine maybe I spent like 25 days in that jungle and I only have that eight little, very little batteries that allow me to film maybe 1 hour and a half or something. So I can charge them. So the major part of the days I can't film. So maybe I film one day, and until I understand that I have to consume battery to film another thing, maybe happen 5 or 6 days in the middle. So I could even have to carry with myself, I don't know, some notebooks, some things to understand things. So everything I have to have here. And I have to create my film, edit my film before shooting, because everything I will shoot will be essential. My film is like 1 hour and 15 minutes. I only film like 4 hours and a half or something like that. So when I'm filming after 5 days, and in the middle I'm living that reality that is in color, I don't
Mhm.
I don't even remember what I was filming in terms of feelings. But because I film black and white and it's a different languages, it's a different texture from my living there in colors, when I film in black and white,
Mhm.
5 years, 5 days after, very quick, I remind why I was feeling 5 years before in that image I was feeling in black and white. It's like it was very, because I'm the same person that is filming, but also that is living there. If I make some difference from the way the work I'm experiencing and the work I'm creating as filmmaker, is very helpful for me to understand, without seeing a playback or something for not consume batteries, to understand what I was feeling 5 or 6 days, 6 days before. So create that a special condition that my film has, also get me to understand that what is the form of my film, because it's talking about a word, but also must have an autonomy, you know?
So,
Yeah.
you want to say that that every decision you have taken as the black and white decision, it's kind of a memory that runs through your mind during the process of the entire filming procedure.
Yeah, yeah, because you have to be prepared for a war, and you say, wow, I'm a very cheap soldier, I can
Mhm.
buy a lot of horses, a lot of things to battle. I don't have, very good weapons. I don't have. So what I have, no so the good things about being one is that I could get some intimacy, no, with my characters,
Yeah.
no. So I can be hide more easily than if I have a crew. The tough part is some things that for me are important to express. I could express just in one, everything in the image, everything in the soul. So I have to mix what I'm doing and why now I'm focusing some part and then I'm focusing. So maybe I don't have a lot of crew, so I need more time to do it and to divide the specific task I'm doing just to do it one thing at time, you know. So it's just about an intuition, in art you don't have a correct path and incorrect path. You can have several correct paths,
Yeah.
but I think it's
Right.
pick one, maybe by intuition, less elements, and then try to go deeper to find that petrol in the hole, you are digging, you know. So
Yeah.
for me, it was like, okay, for me, image is movement, sound is the color. So then go to the image, to the point of view, to the intimacy of that movement, and then try to find all these colors around, all these connections around. If the sun is looking at some point, what imagine in around what is trying to hear, connect that word, make an identity of that specific word. So then you have to hear the word you have, but as a musician.
I mean, your film is somewhat, I mean, it's a manifestation of the phrase called like personal is political. I mean, especially when you basically depict or show a very personal story, but with a very universal appeal, right? I mean, the struggle, the separations, and all these things. In particular, it becomes somewhat like more political when you basically have this background of radio. There is this, I guess, Cuban president was probably talking about the COVID protocols and how Cuba is doing good. And it's like about revolutions and all. It's somewhat like a contrast with the reality that we are seeing on the film, right? And saying the revolution must live on and all these like sort of slogans and everything that we are hearing at the same time in the background in a somewhat like more sarcastic way. So maybe you can just describe
Hmm.
your thoughts behind using these kind of things in the background
Hmm.
and also in the COVID time especially. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we are living in a political world. We organize in some politics systems, and some we can't escape from that. Is our context we are living. So
Uh-huh.
what I understand, because for me cinema is the art of time,
Oh,
is that time is not equal from all of us. It's not something mathematically that I can count 1 second, 2 seconds. So if you belongs to a more vulnerable class, your time is always like a countdown. Your time is made by urgency. You are always late. You can just rest and think what you are doing or plan a good strategy or something because you are always late. Okay. That word that it's about a fact that it's suffering you because your body is like getting empty all over and over and over and over. Um, you have to think if you are protecting the people who needs you more in a society and what you are making. And at some point, we were talking before about words and about facts. You see that contrast Also, we have contrast in black and white, in image and sound. Well, we have also contrast in words and in facts,
Mhm.
because people who has nothing, has not the opportunity also to speak, can't make words, and not because they are not able to has an speech, it's because they don't have never a microphone, they don't
Exactly.
have never a camera. So maybe for that people that it's up there with that microphones, with that cameras, seems to be heroes that are always like solving problems or saving society with all this propaganda around them, you are condemning your most vulnerable people, forgotten of society, to live in a really heroic terms, you know, in tours their life in something heroic, but without pretension to be heroes, because
Exactly.
they don't want to be heroes. I always start to say, Landi is not, when you have a synopsis of something about the film, or I never said Landi is a crocodile hunter. I always said Landi is a father of a family.
Mhm.
Because he's a father and he needs to fit in that context, he becomes a crocodile hunter. But he doesn't want to risk his life every single day. Mercedes doesn't want to suffer in the door of his house, So maybe we forgot them, and we put always the attention in things that, I don't know, man. We discuss a lot about politics. We are always uh, saving the world in that. You have in India, in Bengal, you have this Ada, no? So you have that, and you start to talk about politics and solving the world and everything, and you get
Yeah.
tired about talk, 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 talk.
Adda. Yeah.
Yeah, and when you are finished, that word is not solved. So I don't know. Politics sometimes talk too much to defend some
Yeah.
propaganda to stay in the power, but I don't care about defense any ideology, because more important about the ideology that is something that is fixed and sometimes make it blind, because we are more having all of power to defense ideas more than realities. I'm trying to take care about what is really happening about the movement of life, and that people are trying to exist without cameras, without microphones, are trying to love. So for me, they are the first stone of a society. If I want to build a new country, I have to start by them. Not about that people that is in the television and is the radio, and we talk a lot about what they are saving or what they are doing for. I don't even care too much, all these wonderful words. It's more but deeper in society, which part are forgotten, and and what they need for us,
Mhm.
you know so I,
So
I, I want to put that
this
contrast,
contrast. Yeah.
because these contrasts already exist, and because maybe
Definitely.
exist because for that people exist in the top, that people here needs to have heroes life.
Yeah.
You-
And also somewhat ironic. I mean, when you sort of have this contrast, right? I mean, it's kind of everywhere actually. I mean, if you look into what we had in the COVID time in India as well, there are these contrasts. You can already sort of see the contrast as well, like government policies and like the claims, and compare that to people's lives. Exactly. I guess we can talk about that as well. So yeah, I mean, just to switch a gear a little bit. I mean, just as your first, this is your first film, right?
yeah.
Uh, and so I just talk about. I mean, I just want to know about your receptions, because this is probably the first time you are having this world tour somewhat, right? And then
Yeah.
like going everywhere, sending to film festivals. So how did you navigate? Because also, as you mentioned that you made this film alone, and probably you're navigating it alone as well. So is as filmmakers like Onindo, for example, and some other filmmakers, I mean, like they always are curious about how people's experience they can sort of know about each other as well, right? So probably
Yeah.
you can share a little bit.
Yeah. Well, it was at the beginning, the process of the film, it was also a little bit ironic because at some point in my life, I get very ill because my body was not prepared to live in the swamp all these years. So I get a lot of parasites. I was very skinny. I have to put some inject serum for not
Mhm.
deshydrate myself. So at some point it was like a very tough also to find the strength to do the film. So what I was talking to myself inside myself to get some courage was that, okay, David, that is not your first film, that is your last film. Uh, so if you are gonna do this just once in your life because you are not able to do again because it's a lot, just try to do by your way, because you tomorrow you will be, I don't know how to say, moved about the idea of being coherent until the final, so I was not really uh, thinking about reception or something,
Mhm.
because for me also I was very like vulnerable doing that film, so
Uh-huh.
I couldn't think a lot about the next stage. For me it was like, okay, you get some truth that is bigger than yourself, so try to be loyal to that even if this is the last time you do that. So I was focusing that, but then when I had something, I realized that I have no idea how to, what's the next step about. So I had to find some producer. I had to make the movie exist. So even before the opening of my film, I had to spend 3 more years trying to find some budget to that post-production sound I find
Mhm.
in Paris to make that color of the film by sound, and also to some festival. I didn't know anything about festivals. I was very rookie. So how can I take care of my film in an stage that I have no fucking idea? I'm very ignorant. So it was like very again to doing a film in another state, but also from zero. Was like doing my film again. So I was very lucky because. I find some people that helps me a lot to show this film in Visions du Hell, that is in one of the most, I think it's the older documentaries film festival in Europe. It's one of
Mhm.
the
It's in
more,
Switzerland, right?
yes, in Switzerland.
Mhm.
So, and it's very prestigious, and a lot of people going there to see a specifically documentary of that year. So for me, was fate or something, because sometimes you need good luck. I say like that. It's like
Mhm.
I don't know, that we won. We have like a jury that have a faith in film and won like the prize of our section, and also won the FIPRESI, the awards of international critics. So it wants the two main like prizes in Visions du Hell. So it was like people start to be very interested about films, about festivals, other festivals, and all of that. Maybe if that jury was different people and pick other documentary,
Yeah, that's
okay, was very different. So maybe when you thought about what happens to you, also it's kind of ironic, because you never know, and the passion, all the strength you put in all these years was already there, was the same, but
Mhm.
maybe the result was very different. So I feel my same a kind of private privileged person.
Privileged. Yeah.
because instead of all my uh, I don't know, my strength to do that movie, I also have the good look to a jury that believe for the very first time of that movie. So then now I'm in a different stage that I'm traveling all over the world. I were with you one
Mhm.
month ago in India. I could be in Satyajit Ray home, with his son. Satyajit Ray for me is something that I don't know. Give me. I didn't know anything about India, but when I say Pather Panchali, I said I came from there. I'm from the countryside, and I
Yeah.
want to be Apu. I see the train, and I want to get into that train, and I want to make a life for myself, and I want to. So that moved me. So because of my film, having the privilege to have this exchange in in terms that you never imagine. Wow, that is something I don't know, very wonderful, and I never thought about some people from India, from Korea, from other parts of Latin America, for Europe, get in touch with my family, because that characters are my family, and with my last 10 years of my life,
Mhm.
so once again, cinema is about sharing time, is about sharing the the limited time we have where we are alive in this world. So uh, I don't know, that is a stage that it's I have a lot of flights, a lot of overlays, because for being more expensive flights, so also is very I'm getting empty, physically empty. I need to rest a little bit, but I can complain. I have the most wonderful job I could pick for myself. So I
Yeah,
don't know.
that's great to hear. Anindya, you wanna ask something?
Yeah, I mean, when we were talking about Satyajit Ray, and you have, how many times did you watch Pather Panchali?
Bah,
Did you, I mean, you have,
I can count, but more than 20
Wow.
easily,
That's
easily,
wonderful to hear. Yeah.
easily,
so,
easily.
so my next question is a little bit on that way, I want to really, in 2025, I have, I want to say that I have explored your film in a way that which has actually moved me a lot. So from that point of view, I want to ask you this question. I want to compare your film with the legendary film Pather Panchali by Ray,
Don't do
which
that, please.
shows misery,
Misericordia.
which which shows misery with tenderness. So my question is, what do you think about this comparison?
I'm not
So
able.
your film shows the tenderness.
Yeah, but no, man. I'm not a finger of Satyajit,
No, but you have deep influence. I'll say in the article I read, you
Yeah.
talked about it. Yeah. So
Look,
maybe you can, yeah.
Yeah.
for example, things I really move about that films, and I could see again and again and again. Uh, what is Pather Panchali about? Thought about that. Pather Panchali for me is about, okay, you were born. You don't pick yourself to born in the circumstance you are born. You
Hmm.
just get to that world, and then you have an essence, and you don't pick your essence, so because you are like that. I'm very passionate. I just want to be not that passionate sometimes in my life, and flow a little bit, and don't be, because I will be more happy, maybe, so
Yeah, I can understand. Yeah.
I have an essence and I have a context. That is Apu, no? So the essence of Apu is to become something for himself. For the very first time in Pather Panchali, also is a kid, but He's trying to play. He's also trying. Sometimes he's in trouble because he comes late. Always this woman, the grandma, the mother, the sister is taking care of him. But he's always looking. He's always full of curiosity of life. He has an essence that he tried to build himself. But also the context he's living is like, if you want to get something about yourself, but you are poor, you will pay for having that essence all your life. And that is fucking tragedy, because maybe if Apu is rich, everything is solved in with his essence. He can go to the high school, he can put his family united, but he starts to lose every single member of his family in that movement of being someone. In the second part of Apu's trilogy, he could make himself a man, but because of that, he's not able to see his mother die. Maybe the most important person in his life. But what is also Satyajit told to us is not also about tragedy. For me, is mystic, is philosophic, because Satyajit is not doing also like a condescendence of poverty.
Yeah.
He also finds beauty,
Yeah.
even if that beauty put me in face of the dead dragon. For example, in that rain, man, in that rain at some point happened in Pather Panchali, and you are with your sister, and then you have nothing, but you have that rain, you have that countryside, you have that feeling that something in nature where you belong is so fucking beautiful. And that close up to that face of that sister, just, feeling the rain in the countryside. That is an unforgettable moment in your life that maybe Apple will remember always, but also because of this rain. Maybe the sister get cold, and because he's poor, he's condemned to
To
death.
die.
So
Yeah.
if you find some beauty, but you are poor, you will pay for get that beauty with death. So you can see the glass empty and say, okay, we have that debt because we try to find some that beauty, but also we have that glass a little bit full, and we say, okay, I was born in this life. I never pick where we were born. I can control in which circumstances I'm gonna die. But I think life is about get some beauty before you die. It's about find something beauty. And even the most highest classes sometimes didn't realize about that, and lose themselves and die before getting some pure essence about beauty. So the beauty make us equal, because we are all sensitive people that we can catch beauty in some I don't know how to say simple ways, like that rain. So what Satyajit talk, it's something that, I don't know, it's more than India countryside. It's more than this historical period. It's something universal. It's the way that you decide to exist, even if your circumstances are not the best, you can find some beauty. And that is about hope. And that is about love in human, about love in life. So for me, Satyajit is a humanistic voice that is like a lighthouse. When I'm lost in my life, when I get little confused, little depressed, I put Pather Panchali. I see that rain, I see that train, I see that grandmother, I see that look in Napu. I get some hope in my life. So
Excellent.
Exactly.
Is
excellent.
that
And you know, the eternity that shows, and I believe that your film has that kind of eternity when we talk
Yeah,
about the love, and
yeah.
really it's
You know,
wonderful too.
Anindo,
Yeah.
maybe for David, maybe I'm not sure. Like the same author who wrote Pather
Mhm.
Panchali, like he wrote another famous novel called Arunok, which is about
Hmm.
this guy who went to this, who was living in this place. I mean, who is basically grew up in a city, but he was like, for his work, he was living in a place which is like surrounded by all forests and so on. So he was basically, he lost himself within that place, and he was like, basically, he can hear, listen to the forest speaking, and can feel amazing. That's it's called Aronnok. I'm not sure if there is an English translation, unfortunately. I think it's hard to translate, to be honest. But, like what I wanted to say is that in your film, when you have the first part, when this guy is, Landi was living in this forest swamp alone, right? It's a kind of also in that particular environment, the nature, that it's not Landy alone, it's Landy in that nature, because when he comes back in the second part, so the character changes a little bit as well, right?
Yeah.
So in some sense, I guess, that's what I felt a little bit, because I think, like, I feel like through Satyajit, the Pather Panchali and the context, I mean, probably the author, whose name is Vibhuti Bhushan, right?
Yeah.
So you got some essence of that as well. So maybe it's kind of has some impact. That's what I felt, but maybe it's an unconscious thing. But
I would love to have that. You say were a books, no?
yeah, it's I mean,
Maybe later you
yeah,
can write me in WhatsApp to
definitely,
find
yeah,
information. I will love. I will appreciate too much.
definitely, sure, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Did Landy and Mercedes watch the film after it finished? What was
Yeah.
their reaction?
Yeah. Of course, they were in the full process with me. I need from them to in the full process. So, um, Landy's reaction when he saw the film was like he was very surprised about the songs. He say, "Wow!" He was identifying the birds and say like to Mercedes,
Mhm.
"Listen, listen. This is a cow. This is like a water owl. Like different birds we have in that swamp."
Mhm.
Oh,
So
excellent.
and they are Sabbaths, so you can hear about that. And because of he doesn't have like this song recording, he never could express that sounds,
Yeah.
to his wife. So he was like, wow, it's like having the camp here. Now I can have the camp wherever I am. And Mercedes asked me to see the Landis part, just the Landis part. And when she finished to see the Landis part, she was in silence. And I don't know, I was a little bit afraid because she never sees what is Landis life about, because Landis taught her like these little tales also to make her laugh about why I lost my teeth and like exotic tales, for get her asleep and something, but was something like fable. But is the was the very first time that Mercedes see like a fact that word. And after that she was in silence. And the life of Landi is risking his life, so it's very tough to see your husband with crocodile and all this stuff. And I say, okay, Merche, what do you feel? What do you think about that? And she was in silence and she surprised me a lot. I never expect her answer because she just talked. Wow, how beautiful is that part inside of the swamp, These little palms we call guanito. Wow, I never thought it was that beautiful, and these birds and this. And man, I was prepared to see complain about Landis life, about I don't know. I was never prepared that Mercedes finds beauty. So I, I was like broke, a little broke. So I tell Mercedes, excuse me, Mercedes, I need to go to the bathroom. I need to go to pee. And I go to the bathroom and I start to cry because I say, man, I also need all these years to find beauty. And that was a question I made myself, because sometimes it's like people prejudge your feelings if you try to find beauty in some lives because they are very tough, because they are very raw. But I love that people, And at one part, I talk with Mercedes also before filming. And I say, look, Mercedes, I am a little bit like, I don't know, anxious. Mercedes is like my old sister or kind of mother to me. And I said, because, I want very much to do that film with you to remember always. But Danish is always naked in the home. It's also I will show reality, and reality sometimes it's kind of tough. So what do you think about? And she tell me, David, we are poor, but we are not misery people. I don't steal from anybody.
Mm-hmm.
You are my friend. You are here because I have feelings also for you, because I know you have feelings for me. So if we want to make something together to remember, put fears outside of that, because it's not about having fears, it's about having love. And I say, okay, thank you. Thank you for telling me that. And I want to tell, okay, so what I love from them, what I need to remember about that sharing time together all these years. So for me, it was important to build a beautiful film, you know, because I love them. And if I feel my mother or my grandmother or something, I need to find a beautiful experience about that, So it was not only about feel the circumstances, tough circumstances they are living. It's also about a breath, a tempo, and also the beauty of that exchange we have all these years. So at the final part, that Mercedes, that for me it's the first spectator of the film, said to me, because was the first people I met, the first people that give me that cup of coffee, say, wow, I find beauty in there. Wow, I didn't realize, but it was everything I need to hear, to say, okay, I don't care now if the film is successful or not. It's fucking successful because
Yeah,
we get it. We get some beauty for us.
absolutely. Yeah.
Love,
So yeah, I mean, like you mentioned, Satyajit Ray. I mean, you are also very humanist in that sense, right? Your philosophy of life is very, humanism. So we know that Satyajit Ray is famous for portraying humanism in his films. Like probably nobody else portrayed as much, And who do you think? Like Satyajit Ray, I know that you are pretty, big fan of Satyajit Ray. Apart from that, like maybe you're, in the contemporary or maybe also like in the past, like who are the other directors that kind of impacted you?
Well, I think I'm very like vitalist. Like my
Mhm,
point of view needs to be a little bit like optimistic instead of all, and I also see that
mhm,
in Satyajit. So, for example, for me, neorealism was very important in
mhm.
Italy because, for example, Rossellini,
Rossellini.
I can see faith in him. Like, for example, I don't know, Berlin is absolutely destroyed, and with that circumstances, he went there to film a film about a German boy trying to exist in that circumstances. No,
Mhm,
remember that after that second word, maybe German was like the devil, was the
Mhm.
face, was the something. But Rossellini has the long distance, the perspective to see that even in Germany, even in Berlin, they are little boys without ideology trying to survive, and we need to have future in that little boy. So that Germany year zero for me was very important to film it. Also, I love Lumiere's because maybe Lumiere's, they were finding cinema for the very first time.
For the
So you
first time,
see
yeah.
that they have that 50 seconds films durability. So they start to make films for these 50 seconds, and for films for the very first time the world. No, and share united. So what is happening in all these Lumiere views? It's something very excited, not
Mhm.
just for all of us as human existence. For the very first time in our life, we can catch the movement of time. So
Mhm.
it's something very raw, but also alive. And I love also, for example, John Ford.
Mhm.
He was also all I don't know how green was my ballet, Graves of War, of Wrath. I don't know the name in English. But what also like I don't know. He was very essential in the way he was filming.
Mhm.
Also, all that characters has a relationship about the landscape they belong, and also the making the movie. It's something that it's like I don't know. I think some faith.
Ah.
I love a lot of filmmakers. Of course, nowadays, just a month ago, dies Bellatar. That for me was also
Mhm.
very important filmmaker. When you see Bellatar films, you are
Mhm.
seeing time moving. I love also Angelopoulos in Greece. I love
Mhm.
Kurosawa. I love Osu. I love Misoguchi. I love Kiarostami. I
Yeah.
forgot Kiarostami. Kiarostami was incredible. One of my top
Yeah.
three, for example,
Mhm. Mhm.
uh, because he has this faith in life, and he catch quotidianity in terms very small but very essence that you smile when you are
Yeah.
seeing Kiarostami pictures. They are like miracles, you know.
Miracles. Yeah. Absolutely. Through the olive trees,
Also,
for
I don't
example,
know,
the last scene. Yeah.
Tarkovsky. There are a lot.
Yeah.
You
But
know the big
what
part of
about?
that,
Yeah.
eh?
What? Sorry. What about among contemporaries, like the recent ones? Anyone? you.
I don't know. Nuri Bilge Ceylan in Turkey.
I
I
see.
love it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
love it. Um, I don't know. I don't know. Because I'm not seeing also cinema like nowadays in the past. It's like when you take a novel. I can take a novel from Cervantes, and I can take a very modern novel. For me,
Mhm.
it's the same thing. We are
It's the
trying.
same thing. You're trying to find the essence, right? So it's kind of yeah, makes
Yeah.
sense. Yeah.
Also, when I see a
Uh,
film that I like, I'm very obsessive. So I see like 20 times. So maybe. I'm not very like fascinated about wow what films are going to Oscar, so I will see every of them. Maybe I see okay, I have my life to see all of them in some terms, but if I find a movie of 40s that I like, I get it. For example, Beam Benders nowadays they have that Perfect Days. I love
Perfect
that
is. Yeah.
mm, that movie.
mhm.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. Have
Do you have, if I ask you, do you have any recommendation for our audience, like for films, for best films that you have ever seen or you might want to recommend?
Okay. Satan Tango of Bellatar.
mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
Wow.
I guess it's hard. Yeah, suddenly.
Alcázar du Baltasar de Bresson.
Brisson. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Pather Panchali of Satyajit. Mm, I will take. I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know.
Have you watched Ritik Ghatak?
What's the name in English of that?
I mean, Ritik Ghatak is one of the.
Ah,
I mean,
yeah,
it's
yeah, the
Is a
documentalist
filmmaker.
one. I
uh,
never, when I was in Bengali, they
yeah.
in Bengal they talked me a lot about him, but I
Yeah.
never able to get that all of that documentaries.
Oh
So
yeah,
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
as he made like
Mm.
6 features. I mean, there are like 6 features he made, but these are very different. I mean, these are like
Yeah.
he was Satyajit Ray's contemporary, but made a very different kind of films. But I think you might find them interesting as well. But the flavors are very different though. But
Mm.
he's talks a lot about like the
Mm.
Bengal was partitioned into two different parts, so talks a lot
Yes,
about that,
yes.
and the connections and the separations, and within the separations there are some hopes sometimes, so it's all of these things. So maybe I can, yeah, I definitely, you can probably watch as well. Yeah,
It will
Yeah.
be incredible to have some exchange and maybe a drive or something.
definitely.
If you have that films, I
Yeah,
will.
absolutely.
Also, for saying one Cuban film for audience to watch, Memories of Undevelopment.
Yeah, so that one I won't, that's pretty
Okay.
famous actually. Yeah, Memory of Wonder Development. Yeah.
It's like a one essence film
Mm.
made in Cuba that I think it's very good cinematic language.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
I guess we're
So
close to wrap up, right? So Anindo, you want to, yeah.
yeah, I want to just this one, David. I want to tell you before I ask you this question. It's a little about the reality check. I know that you have passed through many difficulties during the process of filming the film. So, what I want to ask you, as Zapata is a kind of a conservatory sanctuary, right? And for crocodiles. So, and other way around, the crocodile meat is also a kind of a delicacy among the locals. So, how do you see the environmental ethics and the survival of the time?
How I see ethic in environment. Okay, for understand the question. Okay, it's difficult to answer that because in Cuba we have a lot of things that now is people is with a lot of people is with a lot of hunger right now, and also they don't have like a right to go to some other
Mhm.
place. They have to ask for permission, so they have no more option to stay in some, for example, my characters in that tough area. But for me, for example, Landi, that what he is doing is forbidden, but in Cuba everything is forbidden. But if you are a tourist and you go to some and you pay with euros and with dollars, they will give you like a state will give you a crocodile to eat. So
Mm.
sometimes if you are from abroad, you have more rights that you are Cuban, and
Ugh.
so but uh, for example, Landi take cares a lot of nature there because he needs nature to live. So, for example, in one point in the movie, we see him taking care of a little rat. The name is Jutia in Cuban. That little rat is because sometimes, we find that rats in the trees. So sometimes we hunt some rat for feed ourselves, and at some points that rats, we don't know, but are pregnant, for example. So when we had the mother and is pregnant, Landy, for example, take care all the childhood of that little rat, about making milk and all of this, because for him it's very important that the cycles goes,
Mhm.
and the kid becomes a man, and go to the tree again, because it's like, you pick from the nature, but you also could be very aggressive with the nature.
Mhm. Mhm.
Everything Landy do and takes from the nature has a very specific purpose, from exist,
Mhm. Mhm.
and also is taking care of that nature, because he needs that. So some of the times, people who make laws and all these things from cities knows anything about what nature is comes, because nature is there for us. We are also animals, we belong to nature. It's not forbidden to get things for nature, because if some gods exist, God make nature and we are part of nature, and we can take things for nature. But what we can is have some exceed, take more than we need
Yeah,
for
Exit.
survive.
exactly. Yeah.
What Landi is taking is just what he needs for him and his family to survive. So for me, it's more unethical in some cities that people that is making that laws for condemn people has nothing in the countryside, but then they go to, I don't know, some restaurant, and they ask for a lot of food because they have that budget, and they just eat dishes, and then they feel full, and then that dish go to the rubbish, and then they go to the supermarket, and then they buy like 10 trousers, 10 t-shirts, but they don't need a lot. So they are like making like this consumist, this capitalist run. So that is paying, because maybe you don't see, but because having all this exit around us, a lot of people, is condemning to be in the outside. So sometimes, I think we lost perspective of things, because if we take the responsibility that Lantis take, for example, to just pick what he needs to live, we could live
Mm.
much more than I think we will live, because we are ending our own resources. We are not taking care of world, but not people like Landi, people in the cities. You know,
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
So
so
overconsumption is the problem, and people making law which are basically, instead of curtailing the overconsumption, actually probably also they do not have take into account these marginalized people, right, who live outside the city. They have to go
yeah.
to the swamp. It's very sort of yeah. I mean, it's a great answer, I think, like how to balance these things. Yeah. All right. So I guess we are wrapping up here. David, any last words? Anything you want to talk
Yeah.
about?
Just to say thank you, because you
Thanks
were
a lot.
very kind, open that window for your audience. So thank you very much, guys, also for your time. It was very lovely time, because I can realize that you take care of the film, you take care of that interview, you made things here with love, with good time. So thank you. You were very kind, and also say thank you for audience to be there and have this exchange. So it was an honor, and that's it. Maybe I wish to be soon again in Kolkata.
Of
I
course.
fell in love and have another exchange there.
Yeah. Once you're done with touring and you're a little bit of, calm and sort of, then
Have
maybe,
some relaxed adda there.
yeah.
Mm.
Adda, yeah. Especially, I mean, this podcast is all about Adda, right? We Bengalis, we love Adda. We are very happy to,
So you were familiar with the word Adda, right?
Yes.
yeah,
Utam,
So
that it's
David is
like,
familiar with the word.
yeah,
yeah. I was there with Utam and Sutopa, that are two special friends from then, and
hmm,
they were very, very awareing me about things about Kolkata, also about the pronunciation of Satyajit in Bengali.
Satyajit. Yeah, that's
Satyajit Ray.
wonderful.
So
That's the
yeah,
perfect pronunciation.
I have
Great.
good masters there.
Great talking to you, David, and thanks a lot for your, taking time out of your busy schedule and, making this. And, like I already, when I was talking, I already have a name for this episode, like, which is From Cuba with Love. We talk so
Thank
much
you.
about love, and it's a very nice conversation. One of the unique conversations.
Yeah.
And thanks Anindo as well to agree to co-host this with me.
Thank you so much.
And because of Anindo, actually, I got to know about your film, and we watched this together. So that's a wonderful experience.
Thank you
All
very
right.
much, guys.
Thank
Honor.
you. Thank you,
Let's keep in
Pratyay.
touch.
Thank you, David.
Ciao, ciao, ciao.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye bye.
Thank you.